Okay. Well, we're just short of a boil. We're just short of 180 degrees. And as you can see, we have a nice foam starting to come up on top. Now, as you start to get this foam, inside of the honey, while it's been being made, of course, by bees, the process for making honey by bees is that they will go from flower to flower collecting their pollen. And how they collect that is they actually will ingest the pollen and they will fly back to the hive and they will actually regurgitate the pollen, and it is a process of that regurgitation that breaks the pollen down, and it is stored, and from that becomes the honey that we eat. Now, of course, while they're flying, you know, they get pollen on their bodies, and in the process, of course, honey is very sticky. Anything it comes in contact with, it's going to stick to. So the honey that you get from your local farm or from your local store, if it's not pasteurized, will have some particulate matter in it. It could be little pieces of stem, little pieces of flour, pieces of pollen, anything that would have been picked up in the process of collecting the pollen, or that could have fallen into the honey itself during the making of the honey or the collection of the honey even by the beekeeper. So what we're doing at this point is we're pasteurizing the honey in the water to make it safe for us to drink once it's been brewed, of course. And during that, you'll see little flecks of particulate matter start to boil up into your foam. For instance, if you look, there is a little black dot in the middle of my spoon. I don't know if you can see it very well. It was right on top of the foam. Now, what I just did is what we refer to as skimming. We go through on the top, and as we see the foam, we start to skim it, looking for any particulate matter that may be in the honey. Of course, we're going to continue to stir. Keep any honey from scorching on the bottom as we approach to the full boil. This stirring will also help bring that particulate matter to the top, as it's, you know, still, even though that we have the amount of water in here, some of that particulate matter is still going to want to stay with the honey in the water. So as we stir, the heat will help release some of that particular matter. And we're going to check this around, and we're getting close to 200 degrees. We're just a little over 190, getting close to 195. Now, once we do get it up to a boil, we will want to reduce the flame just enough to where it keeps it a boil but does not boil over. When you get this close to boiling, you want to stay right on top of what you're doing. Now, as you see, we have a little bee flying around. If you're brewing outside, that's one of the hazards of doing this outside, that the birds, bees, insects are going to smell that honey. They're going to come looking for it. So if you have a problem with bees, you may want to brew inside, but it's such a beautiful day outside, I figured why not. Of course, you're going to want to stay right on top of it when you get this close to a boil for two reasons. One, you don't want it to scorch as you get closer and closer to your boil. And secondly, because if you've ever seen a pot boil over, it is very, very short distance in time from the time that it starts to boil till you can get to a boil over. And with brewing, that is even more so. It becomes very volatile once you hit the boiling point. If you don't reduce your heat and it continues to gain that heat, it can go from a very small rolling boil to a very boisterous and out of control overflowing mess before you know it. And we're getting closer and closer. So for right now, since we're not quite there, I'm going to go ahead and pause the video, and I'm going to continue to do some skimming and looking for any particulate matter. And when we get to a full boil, we'll bring the camera back online.